to the Central Criminal Investigation Department. On the 9th of September 2021, the case file was sent to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice. On the 7th of April 2022, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions advised that no further action be taken and the case was filed.
Madame la Présidente, j'ai bien compris la réponse de l'honorable ministre, mais vu que... Pardon, du Premier ministre, pardon, excusez-moi. J'ai bien compris sa réponse, mais le fait que ce cas a été sanctionné par la Fédération internationale de football et que et la MFA et le CEC de Joachim ont eu à payer une amende de 10 000 francs suisses en 2021. Est-ce que le Premier ministre ne pense-t-il pas qu'on devrait, vu qu'il y a eu effectivement malpractices, est-ce que ce cas ne devrait pas être référé à nouveau à la police pour être une enquête additionnelle, supplémentaire, pour faire la lumière vraiment sur ce qui s'est passé, puisqu'il y a eu malpractices?
I understand what the honourable member is trying to say, but the DPP had looked at all the evidence or whatever and decided that the case should not go ahead. So I must rely on that.
Okay. Honourable Second Member for Vieux-Grandport and Roosevelt, Mr. Seaburn.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's question B/710, please.
Madam Speaker, the gross economic mismanagement by the previous government during the past decade has severely undermined our macroeconomic fundamentals. So we all know this. It has led, among others, to a sharp depreciation of the rupee and an increase in the inflation rate and therefore the cost of living. In fact, in December 2014, the average exchange rate stood at 31.97 rupees against the US dollar. By October 2024, that is practically 10 years later, it had risen to 46.64 rupees per US dollar, reflecting a depreciation of the rupee by 46%. This significant depreciation of the Mauritian rupee has had far-reaching economic consequences. On the domestic front, it has intensified inflationary pressures and therefore raised the prices of goods and services. Inflation surged to a peak of 11.3% in February 2023, marking it was the highest level for 3 decades, 11.3%. Between December 2014 and October 2024, consumer prices in Mauritius increased by a dramatic 43.3%. On the external front, the depreciation of the rupee has contributed in the widening of the trade deficit, which stood at a high of 180 billion rupees, equivalent to 28.2% of GDP in 2023. It deteriorated further in 2024, rising from 180 billion to 207.8 billion, that is 29.9% of GDP. And this reflects the growing imbalances between imports and exports. Madam Speaker, as I've said on numerous occasions in this House, the dire economic situation we face today is the direct consequence of the gross mismanagement of the economy by the previous government. It reflects a striking level of amateurism and incompetence in the handling of the country's economic affairs, exposing a troubling lack of foresight and, as I said, competence. Let me highlight a few glaring examples of flawed monetary policies. First of all, the Bank of Mauritius decided to print money to finance the budget deficit. Secondly, the Bank of Mauritius further resorted to more money printing to finance the Mauritius Investment Corporation Limited. Overall, the Bank of Mauritius injected a total amount of 180 billion rupees of liquidity in the banking system. As a result of this excess liquidity, the banking system surged, the excess liquidity surged dramatically and unprecedented to 90 billion in August 2023 alone. This led to the depreciation of the rupee and, of course, intensified inflationary pressures within the local economy. Third, the increase in the policy rate by cumulative 265 basis points during 2022 was not enough to solidify and to solidly anchor inflation expectations and prevent the further depreciation of the rupee. Fourth, despite expert recommendations to raise the key rate, the Bank of Mauritius chose not only to ignore the expert recommendations, but they did exactly the opposite. In other words, instead of increasing, they decreased it from the key rate from 4.5% to 4% in September 2024. Now, this negative interest rate gap between the rupee and the US dollar caused a sharp depreciation again of the rupee. Let me now turn to some of the critical policy blunders of the previous regime. First, they favored an economic model based on reckless consumption and imports. Such a model built on a short-term gains rather than structural resilience was inherently unsustainable and ultimately detrimental to our economic stability. Secondly, they created a money illusion by giving away a range of allowances, cash and house. They opted for populist policies that provided short-term relief but contributed to increasing inflation. Third, they squandered public funds on costly white elephant projects, neglecting critical investments in productive infrastructure, innovation, and green transition. Fourth, with the reckless spending, they increased the budget deficit and brought public sector debt to 90% of GDP in June 2025. Madam Speaker, since assuming office, we have implemented a series of measures aimed at steering the economy back onto the path of stability and sustainable growth. We are shifting the economic model away from the one that relies heavily on consumption and imports towards a more sustainable model powered by investment, exports, and innovation. We have been able to stabilize the trade-weighted exchange rate of the rupee. In fact, the rupee has recently appreciated against the US dollar due to movements in the international markets. The headline inflation rate has gone down to 2.9%. It was during the 12-month period. It was 4.5% in June 2024. And finally, we're implementing a comprehensive fiscal consolidation plan to bring down the budget deficit and the public sector debt to more sustainable levels.
Yes, you're right. Next question. The third member for Montagne Blanche and Grand River Southeast. Dr. Shamtali.
B711.
Madam Speaker, the Mauritian Diaspora Scheme has been set up in 2015 to attract members of the Mauritian diaspora back to Mauritius to participate in the economic development of the country. The Mauritius Diaspora Scheme, which is managed by the Economic Development Board, requires an eligible member of the Mauritian diaspora who wishes to return to Mauritius as self-employed to invest at least 250,000 rupees either in his own name or as a one-person company in a field of activity which is deemed to be scarce, innovative, or strategic. I'm informed by the Economic Development Board that currently 550 members of the Mauritian diaspora are benefiting from this scheme, out of which 170 are self-employed. Out of the 170 self-employed, only 5 are one-person companies. Under the Mauritius Diaspora Scheme, a self-employed investing through a one-person company needs to become a resident in Mauritius to benefit from the incentives of the scheme. The one-person company should also be a private company incorporated in Mauritius, in which the sole shareholder is the sole director of the company as per the Companies Act. Furthermore, Section 132 of the Companies Act requires that a company should at least have one director who is ordinarily resident in Mauritius. Madam Speaker, it is not proposed to amend Section 132 of the Companies Act at this point to relax the requirement for at least one director to be resident in Mauritius. This requirement applies not only to one-person companies, but to all types of companies registered in Mauritius. This is an established international principle which can be compared with other jurisdictions. Enforcing this requirement is vital to strengthen our regulatory framework for companies and also to facilitate administrative procedures. It ensures that there will be a person, that is a director, who is physically present in Mauritius to represent the company and be answerable to our enforcement authorities in the event of any breach by that company. Madam Speaker, however, I wish to reassure the Honourable Member that as I have announced in the budget speech of 2025-2026, a new and comprehensive strategy is currently being developed in collaboration with the Economic Development Board to make the scheme less restrictive. We will thus facilitate the return of our valuable Mauritian diaspora members to contribute to the development of our country.
Thank you. Yes. Next question, the Honourable Fourth Member for Port Louis North and Mortailon.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. B712.
Madam Speaker, the Bank of Mauritius is an autonomous and independent body governed by the provisions of the Bank of Mauritius Act 2004. As a matter of fact, Section 3, subsection 3 of the Bank of Mauritius Act provides that the Bank of Mauritius shall, in furtherance of its objects, performs its functions independently. Section 12(1) of the Act further provides that the general policy of the affairs and business of the bank, other than the formulation and determination of monetary policy, shall be entrusted to a board of directors. Therefore, Madam Speaker, in addition, Section 12(3) of the Act provides that the board shall not be subject to the direction or control of any other person or authority in the exercise of its functions. But let me inform the House that the remuneration of the governor and the deputy governors are actually disclosed in the financial statements of the Bank of Mauritius, which are publicly available on the website of the bank.
Yes.
The question had also asked, first of all, I take note that the Prime Minister will not provide these details to the House. However, the Financial Services Commission, for example, where some of them are appointed, at least one of them, he could have disclosed that information. Let me nonetheless ask the Prime Minister whether he is prepared to consult the Bank of Mauritius for a review in the name of keeping foreign currency in Mauritius, the astronomical figures of per diem that is paid to the governor, for example, when he travels, which amounts to $1,400 apparently, and $200 for entertainment allowance, 73,000 rupees, but paid in dollar. Is that something that he's prepared to review?
That is not part of the question, Madam Speaker. And I did say that if you want to get all the information, it's on the financial statement of the Bank of Mauritius on its website.
Okay. Next question. The Honourable First Member for Savane and Black River, Mr. Balaj.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B713.
Madam Speaker, in regards to Part A and A1 of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that between 2020 and the 18th of July 2025, 117 drug cases have been detected in the West Coast, leading to the arrest of 163 suspects, of whom 146 are Mauritian nationals and 17 are foreign citizens. As for Part A2 of the question, I'm informed that inquiries are in progress in all these cases. With regard to Part B of the question concerning the possible installation of safe city surveillance cameras at the roads leading to the 4 entrances of La Paz, I'm informed that there are 204 safe city cameras installed at key locations, as well as policing by 11 police stations and 7 National Coast Guards. Regular foot, mobiles and sea aerial patrols by the NCG personnel, as well as by the Dawn aircraft and police helicopters, also monitor the coastal regions. However, the region is monitored by 3 coastal surveillance radar system stations located at Le Monde, Albion, and Congo. These operate on a 24-hour basis and provide real-time data on vessel movements. A more advanced CSRS donated by the government of Japan is expected to be operational by October or November of next year, and which will offer significantly enhanced surveillance capacity. In addition, with a view to enhancing our maritime surveillance, Mauritius continues to collaborate with regional maritime centers, namely the Regional Maritime Information Fusion Center in Madagascar and the Regional Coordination Cooperation Center in Seychelles. I also wish to inform the House that in February 2024, Mauritius signed a bilateral agreement with Réunion Island to strengthen cooperation in the fight against drug trafficking and the use of maritime routes for smuggling. Given the current surveillance framework in place, Madam Speaker, and the enhancement already underway, the question of installing additional safe city cameras along the west coast, covering the roads leading to the four main La Paz, would best be addressed by the outcome of a comprehensive risk and threat assessment, which is ongoing. The matter remains under consideration, and further reinforcement measures will be taken as and when deemed operationally necessary.
Yes. Okay. The Honourable Second Member for Grand Bay Poudre d'Or, Mr. Bijan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B714.
Madam Speaker, the Dubai Expo 2020 was held from October 2021 to March 2022. Dubai Expo 2020 was clearly a travel folly by the former ministers using taxpayers' money at a time when the Mauritian people were reeling under the impact of the COVID pandemic. Most families were financially in difficulty, but also worried about the COVID. These people were traveling at taxpayers' money. I hope you ask me a question next time on this. I'm informed, you're getting the answer. I'm informed that 11 ministers, 11 of the previous government, together with the accompanying delegations, attended the Dubai Expo 2020. 3 former ministers. I did say 11 ministers, but 3 former ministers, namely Mr. Padiachi, former Minister of Finance, Mr. Balgobin, former Minister of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation, and Mr. Bola, former Minister of Industrial Development, SMEs and Cooperative. They attended the same expo twice. Explain to me why. Why did they have to go twice? Yeah. The total participation costs of the ministerial delegations amounted to 8,252,970 rupees and 89 cents. Madam Speaker, the list is very long. It would take a longer time. I think it's better to table the list together with the duration of the stay, the per diem and other allowances drawn.
Yes. One question. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Prime Minister inform what criteria were used to select attendees of Dubai Expo? Because now it's the time for us to expose the former government, as so much of public funds have been used.
Don't make a statement. Ask your question. Yes. Yes, Prime Minister.
There was no criteria. We can't say any criteria. Why would somebody have to go twice? 3 ministers went twice. And they went with delegation. This is why I will table it. There was, as I called it, a travel folly. It was an occasion for them. People were dying with COVID here. They couldn't give a damn. I was going to say something else. And they just travel, enjoy. Enjoy, because government nous l'a mis, fait ce qu'il doit faire.
Okay. Yes. What do you have? A supplementary? Okay.
I'm glad that the Prime Minister is prepared
No comment. If you put this question,
to table.
Don't do the same.
Is that a
everybody.
comment?
No, give me a question.
He shut up down. Il peut dire où shut up.
No.
Alors, he's
We were doing very well up to now.
il doit se passer des commentaires comme ça. S'il veut pas travailler, il a la maison. Il a la maison. Combien de temps on va permettre encore comme ça?
Honourable
question.
Honourable no.
La question, c'est...
You were asking a
Oui,
question.
la
Please
question
carry
au
on.
Premier ministre, c'est je suis ravi qu'il va donner les détails. J'espère qu'il puisse prendre l'engagement ici de donner les détails systématiquement à toutes les questions qui reportent sur les voyages. Parce que la dernière fois, j'ai pas eu les informations.
It was not a question.
Do it systematically. Transparency, that's
The honourable member seems to forget.
Try to answer to
Always giving all the details, except for the Bank of Mauritius, which I just always, you ask any question you want to ask, I'm giving all the details of the amount of money they spend. It's a criminal. These people should be hanged.
Honourable Second Member for Council Militaire. I don't want to say the word shut up again. Give me 1 second. I will take this time to apologize for last time when I couldn't bear it anymore and I said shut up, which is not a parliamentary word. So I am now apologizing to the House. But don't push me too far, please. Madam Tanu, please.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question B715, please.
Yes.
Yes, Madam Speaker, in regard to part A1 and 2 of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that for the period 2014 to 2024, 3,337 cases have been reported to the Cybercrime Unit, and the outcome as follows. 111 cases have been resolved, 147 cases are awaiting advice from the DPP, 14 cases are awaiting trial, 889 cases are still inquiry as of the 18th of July of this year, and 2,176 cases have been filed. In regards to part B of the question, I'm further informed that the following measures have been put in place for the improvement, efficiency, and rapid service delivery by the Cybercrime Unit. First of all, significant increase in staffing from 13 to 21, 13 in 2014 to 21 in 2025 to handle multiple investigations simultaneously. Regular training of these officers entirely are emerging cybercrime trends and digital evidence handling is going on. Strengthened collaboration with local agencies such as the CRTMU and ITA, as well as with international law enforcement bodies to accelerate investigations, including direct 24/7 contact channels with platforms like Facebook and TikTok to expedite requests. Action through CRTMU Mauritius for the removal of illegal online content and 24/7 cyber patrols by the police IT unit to monitor and detect suspicious online activity. Fourth, the digital forensic lab at the police IT unit is now operational on a 24-hour basis to enable prompt analysis of electronic evidence. Madam Speaker, the House will appreciate that the issue of cybercrime is a complex challenge being faced worldwide. The collaboration of each stakeholder as well as the public is required to combat this scourge. The government is fully committed to continuously enhancing the capacity of our institutions to respond effectively to the ever-evolving cybercrime threats. In that respect, as I mentioned, a specialized unit is currently being set up to focus specifically on cybersecurity-related issues with technical assistance from external expertise. These efforts are part of a broader strategy to modernize policing and safeguard our digital environment. As stated in the government program of 2025-2029, the Ministry of Information Technology, Communication and Innovation is also considering amendments to be made to the Cybersecurity and Cybercrime Act to strengthen the provisions on auditing of critical sectors and child online protection due to the evolving nature of cyber threats landscape.
Yes, you're happy? Okay, so now 718 has been withdrawn. So now we have the Honourable Fourth Member for Rodrigues, Mr. Edouard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B717, please.
Madam Speaker, the Social Contribution and Social Benefits Act provides for the payment of the monthly CSG income allowance to an eligible employee only if the employer has submitted the relevant returns and has paid or remitted to the Mauritius Revenue Authority. First of all, both employers and the employees of the CSG contributions. Secondly, the contribution of the National Savings Fund. Thirdly, the Human Resource Development Council training levy. And fourthly, contributions to the Portable Retirement Gratuity Fund. I'm informed by the MRA that for the period from January 2025 to date, 1,634 complaints have been received from employees who were not paid the CSG income allowance because the employers, 1,150 in total, did not comply with the statutory requirements. Out of these complaints, 22 relate to employees in Rodrigues and concern 19 defaulting employers. I'm informed, Madam Speaker, by the MRA that through enforcement actions, out of the 1,634 complaints, 1,456, including the 16 complaints from Rodrigues, have already been resolved. The MRA has paid the CSG income allowance to 1,444 of those employees and will effect payment for the remaining by this week. For the remaining 178 employees, including 6 cases that are from Rodrigues, the MRA is taking action to initiate legal proceedings against the 82 employers concerned.
Thank you. Yes. Now I have the Honourable Third Member for Rodrigues, Madame Mano. No? 719. We haven't done yet. Mr. Edouard? Oh, you have a second question. I'm sorry. So, Mr. Edouard,
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B719.
Okay. There was one which was withdrawn, so I was lost.
Madam Speaker, with regards to the water sector, the government of Mauritius has signed the following agreements with the Agence Française de Développement since 2019. To date, first, a technical assistance of 600,000 euros signed on the 5th of September 2019 to support the water sector in Mauritius and Rodrigues. Under this assistance, the Rodrigues Water Resources Strategy and Priority Action Plan were developed, among others. Second, a technical assistance of 1.3 million euro signed on the 26th of February 2024 for a study in Rodrigues on the depth and the volume of freshwater aquifers for the development of new boreholes. Third, a technical assistance of 800,000 euro was also signed on the 26th of February 2024, out of which 462,640 euros were for the development of a strategy for rainwater management and flood risk prevention on the island of Rodrigues, and the remainder to develop a strategy for the improved capacity of absorption in Mauritius. Madam Speaker, on the 1st of December 2023, the government of Mauritius also signed a sector budget support loan agreement with AFD for reform in the water sector in Mauritius and Rodrigues. The quantum of the loan is 200 million euro. This sector budget support, the loan, is coupled with a grant of 2 million euro, and this grant is being used to finance the elaboration of a water policy for Mauritius, improving water quality in Rodrigues, and a technical advisor providing support to the Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities and the Rodrigues Public Utility Corporation. With respect to the projects earmarked under this loan assistance, I would like to highlight that the loan from AFD is a sector budget support loan. The financing from a budget support loan is not earmarked for specific projects. Accordingly, the proceeds of the loan are directly credited to the consolidated fund and contribute to the financing of various projects and programs in the water sector, both for Mauritius and Rodrigues. As per sector budget support loan agreement, disbursements are linked to key performance indicators in the water sector, again for both Mauritius and Rodrigues. So far, 105 million euros have been disbursed under this loan agreement. Madam Speaker, over and above the financing from AFT, there are several projects for the water sector that are being implemented for both Mauritius and Rodrigues. The main ones are 3.1 billion rupees, including 1.4 billion for the construction of the Rivière des Antilles Dam, 1.2 billion for pipe replacement projects, and 100 million for the rehabilitation of La Ferme Dam, 50 million for the upgrading of Piton du Milieu water treatment, 73 million for the construction and upgrading of pumping stations at Poudre d'Or and Plaine-Lezon, 100 million for containerized filtration plants, drilling of boreholes and maintenance of feeder canals, and 50 million for the replacement of bulk water meters. For Rodrigues, 216.3 million has been provided in the budget of the Rodrigues Regional Assembly 2025-2026. These funds are mainly to meet the operating costs of the Commission responsible for water, Rodrigues public utilities, and rainwater harvesting scheme. Second, 540 million for 2 desalination plants, distribution networks, and metering finance from MIC. Third, $10 million, which amounts to about 457 million rupees, is a grant from the World Bank and European Union to support Rodrigues' sustainable development with a particular focus on water and food security. Let me reassure the House, Madam Speaker, that we are not leaving Rodrigues behind, not at all. Over 1 billion rupees have been earmarked for the water sector for the next 2 financial years in Rodrigues.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Time is now up. I will give a list of all the PQs that have been withdrawn. 7B 725, 726, 727, 729, and 721. Thank you. Now I'm calling PQs for ministers. The Honourable Third Member for Port-Peace North and Montagnong, Mr. Kazan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. PQ B730, please.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that several projects have been earmarked for the Mauritius Fire and Rescue Services, MFRS, with a view to enhancing our national emergency response capacity. This includes the construction of a new headquarters and fire station at Catabon, the development of new fire stations at Woodlands, Montagne Blanche, and Jinfei, the establishment of 8 satellite fire stations in various regions across the country. These projects are being supervised by the Ministry of National Infrastructure, that is the MNI. My ministry is working in close collaboration with MNI and is monitoring progress through a dedicated project steering committee. Each project is currently at different stages of implementation, which include land allocation, architectural and technical planning, tender evaluation and award, construction and site development. This execution of these projects also entails multi-agency coordination involving Central Procurement Board, other relevant ministries and local authorities to ensure streamlined process and timely completion. Given the scope of these infrastructure developments, I am tabling for the consideration of the Honourable Member a comprehensive status report outlining the following key information for each fire station project: start dates, expected completion timelines, current progress of implementation. This report is being submitted for reference and provides all pertinent technical and administrative details relevant to the planning and execution of the respective projects.
Thank you, Minister. May I just inform the House that PQB 737 will be replied by Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs, Regional Integration and International Trade. Okay, so we now carry on. The Honourable Second Member for Grand Bay Poudre d'Or, Mr. Bijan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B731.
Madam Speaker, I am informed that Mrs. Nandita Ramdewa is the Group Chief Executive Officer of the State Insurance Company of Mauritius Limited, SECOM. In regard to part A of the question, I am advised that Mrs. Ramdewar joined SECOM on 4 May 1992 as Manager Finance on a permanent and pensionable basis. She has since held various positions within the company. She was appointed Group CEO on 5 May 2021, and she's also a Director of the SECOM Board since 20 September 2013. With respect to part B of the question, I'm informed that Mrs. Ramdewar is a Fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, FCCA, and holds an MBA from the University of Manchester. With regard to her experience, she worked at De Chazal Jumet & Co. prior to joining SECOM in May 1992. She has occupied the following positions at SECOM prior to being appointed Group CEO. Senior Manager on 1st January 2002, Group Senior Manager Corporate on 1st July 2010, Chief Finance Officer on 1st July 2013, Deputy Group CEO on 15 February 2018, and Officer in Charge on 2 September 2019. Madam Speaker, regarding to part C of the question, I am informed that as at 30th of June 2024, her annual remuneration, including salaries, other allowances, and performance bonus amounted to 11,506,022 rupees. In addition, the company contributes pension-related benefits amounting to 3,206,354, thus making a total remuneration package of 14,712,375. This information is as published in the company's financial statement. I'm informed that her current monthly pay package is 762,242, which does not include performance bonus, car benefit, passage benefit, and pension-related benefits. Following her appointment as Group CEO in May 2021, there were 3 salary adjustments of 3.5% respectively, namely 2 increments and 1 salary review for the last 5 years. Taking into consideration her total remuneration, which includes salaries, allowances, bonus, refund of leave, pension-related contribution, and other benefits, it is observed that there has been an increase of 37.5% from 2020 to 2024. I am also advised that salary adjustments are determined by an independent salary commissioner according to SECOM's internal policies, and these adjustments are approved by the board or considered and approved by the board. Madam Speaker, my ministry will ensure that it monitors corporate governance and executive remuneration matters across institutions under its purview in line with public expectation and best practice framework, although we must bear in mind that this is a company under the Companies Act which has a board which is responsible for the governance matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. One question, yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Can the Honourable Minister inform whether the increase of the actual remuneration package of the concerned person was approved by the board? And if yes, when and under what policy framework, as she is only a FCCA compared to the previous CEO who is a qualified actuary?
Madam Speaker, I can confirm that every salary increase and payment has been approved by the board, and so I can confirm that. But I understand that there are some concerns probably that a public sector organization executive pay is perceived as being high, especially for a company which the asset under management of that company, 62% of it comes from government, so it's a very captive market share. It's not like a commercial, like any other commercial enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you. You okay? All right. The Honourable Third Member for Beaubassin-Petite-Rivière.
732, please.
Madam Speaker, I wish to inform the House that all elderly persons of 90 years old and above are eligible for domiciliary visits by virtue of age. Secondly, all persons aged 0 to 89 years who need constant care and attention of another person, including bedridden persons who are in receipt of a carer's allowance, are also eligible to domiciliary visits. With regard to Part A of the question, I am informed that as at July 2025, 4,836 persons aged 90 years and above are eligible for domiciliary visits affected by medical practitioners of my ministry. Secondly, 24,745 persons who are aged 0 to 89 years and also beneficiaries of carer's allowance are eligible for the domiciliary visits affected by medical practitioners of my ministry. With regard to Part B of the question, I am informed that as at date, there are 352 medical practitioners working on a sessional basis contract at the medical unit of my ministry who carry out monthly domiciliary visits to eligible beneficiaries. With regard to Part C of the question, I am informed that since January 2025 to date, domiciliary visits have been discontinued for 1,906 persons as a result of death, and for 179 persons aged 0 to 89 years for non-renewal of their carer's allowance. Madam Speaker, for the benefit of the House, let me also add that compared to December 2024, where there were 29,024 domiciliary visits, in July 2025, there are now 29,581 beneficiaries of domiciliary visits. That is more than 557 more beneficiaries. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madame la Présidente, la ministre, dans sa réponse, a fait état du fait que ce n'est qu'à partir de 90 ans, si j'ai bien compris, que les personnes...
Il a mentionné ceux de 0 à 89 aussi. Moi, j'ai bien écouté. Il a mentionné ceux de 90 ans et ceux...
There are two categories.
Voilà. Dans la fourchette,
donc
0
moi,
à 89.
Oui, j'ai bien compris.
Qui sont bedridden et qui en ont besoin.
Voilà. Donc je porte à l'attention du ministre, il y a un cas dans notre circonscription, une dame de Chebel, Madame MGJ, atteinte d'Alzheimer, et dont la visite médicale et la carer's allowance ont été supprimées sans raison valable.
Non,
elle a bénéficié.
C'est difficile pour le ministre de vous répondre.
Non, c'est par rapport à plusieurs cas. Dans ce même, plusieurs personnes qui sont dans ce même cas. Mais là, je cite un exemple particulier pour lui dire quelles sont les dispositions qui sont prises. Je peux comprendre qu'il y a des réformes en cours qui sont très valables, mais dans l'immédiat, afin de justement venir en aide à ces personnes, quelles sont les solutions immédiates qui pourraient être prises afin que ces personnes puissent justement continuer à vivre comme il faut. Sans trop de difficultés, je dirais.
I thank the honourable member. I can inquire on the particular case if you give me the names and the details. As for the measures, as indicated in the last paragraph of my answer, measures have already been taken. This is why we have 557 more beneficiaries of domiciliary visits, and we'll continue in this trend.
Dr. Umia first.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I ask the Honourable Minister whether he can see to with the Medical Appeal Board of his ministry that they make necessary arrangements for those people who are going on the appeal board and who cannot ambulatory make it there and are bedridden due to medical disease or else, are denied having an appeal fairly, since I'm not going to continue a particular case that has been denied only last week. Please look into that.
I think this is a very, very important question. Measures have been taken for the, as it stands now, all persons above 90 get the appropriate measures are taken for them, for the bedridden above 90. Measures also be taken for, I've just learned, for persons above 80, but we can also extend the measures for all people who can't attend the medical board. And we will seek resources for it. Thank you.
You should do like in court. You can do online, Zoom, if they can, at their age. I don't know. Yes, Mr. Edouard.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Est-ce que le ministre peut nous dire s'il y a un mécanisme de suivi pour s'assurer que ces personnes reçoivent effectivement la visite du médecin? Parce que parfois, même si c'est recommandé, elles ne voient jamais le médecin à domicile. Merci.
I've already given the list and the visits, but I can assure the honourable member, whenever there is a case reported to me of doctors not attending the visits, measures are taken, and we'll look very, very strictly on this issue, because all these people are our elderly.
Yes. Okay, on the elderly. Now I have the third member for Montagne Blanche, I think, Dr. Somtali. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. B733.
Madam Speaker, with your permission, I will reply to PQ B733 and B742 together as they pertain the same subject matter. The purpose of the small community projects is to upgrade and maintain infrastructure falling under the jurisdiction of the local authorities. As I mentioned, the House in my reply PQ B677 on 15 July 2025, the football ground at Ernest Florent has been cleared. 6 out of the 12 floodlights are not functionable thereat. The District Council of Flag has informed that works are being undertaken by in-house labour and are expected to be completed by 7 August 2025. The ground wiring is being replaced by overhead wiring. There are currently no toilet facilities thereat. I have been advised that the Council is presently carrying out a survey as regards construction of public toilets in 23 regions under its jurisdiction. It is expected that the estimated cost would revolve around 46 million rupees for the construction, thereof under a design and build model. As regard to Olivia Football Ground, I am informed that it is in a good state except for the lighting system. The floodlights are currently being replaced. This replacement could not be undertaken earlier in view of lack of funds. Toilet facilities are available at the village hall, which is adjacent to the football ground. A proposal for the construction of a covered garden, including fencing and installation of profilage, has been submitted for consideration to my ministry at an estimated cost of 10 million rupees. Madam Speaker, with regard to the Bramston football ground, the House may wish to note that the Council is currently undertaking the construction of a cloakroom with toilet facilities under the Indian grant assistance to a tune of 1.9 million rupees. The project has already started and will be completed by 31st August 2025. I am also informed that the Council intends to construct covered shelters thereat for an amount of 50 million rupees upon the availability of funds. Repairs work are currently ongoing for the football ground regarding the lighting system. The work would be completed by this week. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. The Honourable Second Member for Vieux-Grand-Port.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is question B/734, please.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Madam Speaker, since 2021, Sandalwood is listed as a protected plant in the Forests and River Reserves Act. As such, the Forestry Service and the National Plant Protection Office regulate the exploitation and export of sandalwood. I wish to inform the House that sandalwood tree is among the most expensive wood and commands high prices because of its cosmetic and therapeutic value, mainly for its essential oil, and there's a huge international demand for sandalwood with its fragrant hardwood, its most valuable part, priced at over $400 per kilogram. In regards to Part A of the question, I wish to highlight that there are no licenses that are issued in regard to the exploitation and trade of any protected plant. However, dealers of sandalwood are required to register with the Forestry Service to be able to conduct any activity related to exploitation or trade, and contraveners are liable to penalties established under the Forests and Reserves Act. During the past 5 years, 23 companies have been registered as sandalwood dealers by the Forestry Service, and as date, only 11 of them are still active. Madam Speaker, just for the years 2023 and 2024, my Ministry for the National Protection Plants Office, has issued 75 and 69 phytosanitary certificates for the exportation of 689 tons and 1,017 tons of sandalwood, respectively, for export to different countries, namely United Arab Emirates, India, and China. These figures indicate that there is an overexploitation of sandalwood in Mauritius, and this overexploitation is causing widespread destruction of sandalwood trees on both state and private properties. To address this issue, regulations were made in October 2024 to prevent the cutting and felling of sandalwood without the authorization of the conservator of forests. Nonetheless, from January 2025 to date, phytosanitary certificate had been issued for the exportation of 98 tons of sandalwood. Madam Speaker, with a view to addressing the issue of theft of sandalwood in state lands and the continuous exploitation of the plant, the legislative framework was further strengthened in May 2025, whereby its cutting, felling, exploitation, and export were banned for a period of 10 years to allow the species to regenerate, as sandalwood is a relatively slow grower. Any person caught contravening these regulations would inter alia be liable to pay 5 times the value of the forest produce, in addition to any penalty imposed by a court of law. Madam Speaker, with regards to Part B1 of the question, the Forestry Service, for its part, is working on a program for the reforestation of sandalwood species within the island. Moreover, technical advice is being dispensed to those willing to engage in sandalwood plantation. As for Part B2, in order to enforce the regulations banning the exploitation and trade of sandalwood, regular patrols within state land and reserve are being carried out by the Forestry Service, and the assistance of Special Mobile Force and Police Force is sought as and when required. Interventions are also carried out on private owned lands within the island to combat the illegal harvesting of sandalwood.
Thank you, Minister. Yes, you're right. Yes. First member for Rodrigues, Ms. Colette.
B735, please.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed by the Marston Registrar of the Supreme Court that a budget of 2 million rupees has been allocated for the procurement of transcription software that will enable the real-time transcription of audio recordings of court proceedings in English, French, and Creole. The Honourable Member will be pleased to note that an additional sum of 2 million rupees has also been allocated for the implementation of a bundle project for Rodrigues, which will combine a digital court recording system with a video conferencing facility. As regards the timeline, the deployment of the transcription software is expected to begin in February 2026 and be completed by August 2026. The project for the Rodrigues Court is scheduled to start in January 2026 and is expected to be completed by June 2026. As regards the expected outcome for efficiency and backlog reduction, as regards Part B of this question, we're indeed implementing these changes to improve the efficiency of the judicial system. At present, obtaining transcripts of proceedings can take several months, and their unavailability often leads to the postponement of cases and judgments. Since the new transcription system will be automated and produce output in real time, we can reasonably expect significant time savings. Regarding the backlog of cases, Madam Speaker, we anticipate that existing recordings will also be fed into the system, which would help to expedite matters. However, the issue of backlog is multidimensional and must also be addressed through improved staffing and better organizational solutions for our courts, areas which this government is fully committed to tackling. Which brings me, Madam Speaker, to Part C of the question. The practical implementation of these reforms will be crucial, as the system must operate efficiently with appropriate hardware, regular maintenance, and staff who are properly trained to use it. In this regard, I am informed by the Marston Registrar that training programs will be delivered to all relevant officers in due course to ensure the optimal use of the new systems.
Thank you. Attorney General. Happy? Yes. The fourth member for Rodrigues, Mr. Edouard.
B736, please.
Madam Speaker, let me at the outset emphasize that my ministry remains fully committed to supporting Rodrigues in its efforts to strengthen food security and improve the sustainability of its livestock sector. I recently engaged in constructive discussions with Commissioner Louis-Ange Perrine, the Commissioner of Agriculture in the Rodrigues Regional Assembly, to explore collaborative ways of facilitating this matter. Madam Speaker, we are aware that Rodrigues did face challenges in the supply of animal feed, particularly during the period December 2024 to January 2025. I am informed that these difficulties were largely due to a combination of factors, including supply disruptions from a key mainland producer, limited storage capacity on the island, gaps in demands planning for peak periods, and end-of-year shipping delays. I am further informed that the situation has now improved, and since March this year, the supply of animal feed has stabilized, with even a surplus reported in June 2025. Nevertheless, my ministry recognizes the need for a more structured and resilient supply framework going forward. Madam Speaker, I am further informed that there are presently 142 different types of animal feed available on the Rodrigues market, catering to various animal species. With your permission, Madam Speaker, I will table the list of these 142 types of animal feed. This diversity, while reflecting on the needs of local livestock, present certain logistical challenges in terms of importation and storage, which would require a more coordinated and streamlined approach. In this context, my ministry, in collaboration with the Rodrigues Regional Assembly will explore all possibilities. Through this collaborative approach, we aim to promote better planning and strengthen market linkages in a manner that would ultimately benefit Rodrigues breeders and which will ensure both continuity of supply and price stability in the livestock sector in Rodrigues. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Minister. Yes. Yes, Mr. Edouard.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Will the Honourable Minister please consider have a bigger warehouse in Rodrigues?
Madam Speaker, we will have to work on it, and if funds is available, we will consider.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Francois.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, being given the import of these 142 animal feeds fluctuates, and it depends on the shelf lives and the quantity of live animals also in Rodrigues. Will the Honourable Minister agreeable to ensure that his ministry and the Ministry of Shipping guarantee enough containers whenever required by local importers to avoid any shortage there?
We will work with the Ministry of Shipping.
Very good. Thank you. Time is moving up. We got this Honourable First Member for Port-Louis Maritime and Port-Louis East, Mr. Juman.
B738.
Madam Speaker, I'm informed that a plot of land of an extent of approximately 2,600 square meters at Rosebois has been vested in my ministry in June 2018 for the construction of Rosebois Community Health Center. The specification, tender drawings, bills of quantities and cost estimates were prepared by Hospital Services Consultancy Corporation Limited in December 2019. After the first bidding exercise carried out in July 2019, the contract was awarded to AWL Trading and Contracting Company Limited for the sum of 39,069,190 rupees 50 sous. However, as the latter didn't submit a performance security as laid down in the conditions of contract within the specified time frame, the award was cancelled in February 2020. Subsequently, a second bidding exercise was undertaken in August 2020, and the contract was awarded to Ganesan Construction Limited in February 2021 for an amount of 36,237,936 rupees. The contract was signed on 28 May 2021, and the duration of work was 300 calendar days as from handing over the site. However, due to illegal squatters, the site could only be handed over to the contractor on 24 August 2021. The start and completion dates were set for 7 September 2021 and 4 July 2022 respectively. Since the start, the progress of work of contractor was very slow, and several warnings were issued to him. As no improvement in the progress was noted, and on the advice of the consultant, the contract was eventually terminated on 22nd May 2023 in line with the conditions of the contract. The performance guarantee of an amount of approximately 3.7 million was forfeited. The total percentage of work completed was approximately 8%, for which an amount of 2,746,415 rupees had been paid to the contractor. Subsequently, the consultants of the project were requested to assess the remaining works and prepare cost estimates. The consultants initially submitted a cost estimate of 50.5 million. However, some essential components such as boundary wall, gates, lift provisions, and general and contingency were omitted. My ministry therefore requested the consultant to review the scope of work and the cost estimates. In March 2024, the consultant submitted an amended scope of works and cost estimates amounting to 77 million rupees. However, the Ministry of Finance requested my ministry to review the requirements with a view to bringing down the cost of the project. Madam Speaker, the consultant is at present in the process of reviewing the concept design before proceeding with detailed design and drawings. My ministry has approached the Ministry of National Infrastructure to advise on the way forward.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Juman.
Honourable Minister, thank you. By when can we expect the work to start? by when we can expect through your consultant, constructors, etc., by when we can expect the work start on site?
Madam Speaker, I personally believe, having a long experience in infrastructure works, I personally believe that this has to be scrapped and we have to hand over the entire work to the experts of the Ministry of Infrastructure, because they have to look into the issue over again, because the sum which has been which are demanding is too exaggerating. It's impossible for us to spend that much of money. That is the reason why I personally believe that you have to hand over the matter to the Minister of Public Infrastructure.
So you can't give a time frame?
No.
May I request the Honourable Minister to clear the bushy land there, because the site there is bushy. Can you clear there?
So I'll look into the issue. We'll try to have the site cleared, but I personally again believe that it is too much exaggerated. The consultants are exaggerating. I'm clear.
Okay. I don't know if we can do within 3 minutes. The next question, we can try. Let's try. Okay, Honourable Second Member for Savan and Black River.
Speaker, please. B739, please.
Okay, Minister of Local Government. Yes.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the District Council of Savan that the project titled Construction of New Market Fair at Chemin Grenier was initiated in October 2021 with a contract value of 125 million rupees, inclusive of VAT. The project, which includes a double-story office building, mechanical and electrical works, and external site and drainage works, is currently 98% complete. The only remaining works concerns asphalting along the stormwater drain at the periphery of the site. These works are scheduled to be finalized by September 2025. Upon completion, the Council's consultant will prepare the final accounts. As regard to the proposal of the installing solar photovoltaic PV panel at the new market fair, I am informed that this initiative was put forward by the Honourable Member in February 2022 during his tenure as District Councillor. The proposal was referred to the mechanical and electrical M&E consultant for a feasibility study. The consultant confirmed that it was technically feasible to install a 5 kilowatt system comprising 17 PV panels on the roof at an estimated cost of 525,000 rupees. This was supported by a preliminary quote of 300,000 rupees, exclusive of VAT, from KYA Engineers Limited, subject to further technical input from Meteorological Service. The Council, during its sittings of 27 July 2022, agreed that the PV panel installation would be considered for implementation upon project completion and subject to availability savings or contingency funds. Madam Speaker, my ministry has since consulted the Ministry of Energy and Public Utilities regarding possible support scheme for the installation of PV system. Based on advice received, the District Council of Savan has been recommended to apply under these two key schemes managed by the Central Electricity Board, that is the CEB. Public sector entities PSE scheme, that is own investment. This scheme allows public sector entities to invest in PV system up to 2 megawatt, with CEB purchasing the generated electricity at 4.20 rupees per kilowatt. The energy bill of the entity is credited accordingly. The capacity is capped at 150% of the entity annual energy consumption. And secondly, CEB public building solar project, that is free installation. Under this scheme, Madam Speaker, CEB installed a free PV system up to 50 kilowatt, funded 27% by the Green Climate Fund and 73% by the Ministry of Finance, refundable over 20 years. The installation cost is recovered via deduction from the PSC monthly electricity bill. The tender for this scheme has already been floated with a closing date set for 20 August 2025. I am further informed that the District Council of Savan has already submitted 4 applications under the CB Public Building Solar Project for PV installation at the Council Head Office and 3 Village Hall. The Council may now consider applying under either of these 2 schemes for the Chemin Grenier Market Fair once the construction is completed and the defect liability period expires around September 2025. Madam Speaker, the inclusion of solar photovoltaic system aligned with national sustainability goals and would contribute to reducing the electricity cost for the Council. The implementation, however, will depend on the availability of funds or successful application under the aforementioned schemes. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Okay, I suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours.